What's going on, everyone? So let's talk about a technical challenge that I faced recently and how I solved it, and I'm hoping that you guys will all benefit from it. So let's get into it. All right, so I built this Angular app for one of my client, and the issue they were having is when they would print from the desktop, the preview would come up, the print preview, that would come up fine. But when they try this on the iPad, then it will not show up. So I'm like, okay, I go in my dev environment and I'm like, I'll go to inspect, how you guys would do, I guess. And then I'm going to turn on the responsive or device mode and go to iPad and I'm going to try it. So I tried that and the print preview was coming up fine. So we tried again with the client, and again on the physical iPad, it was just not showing up properly. So what that means, well, I will have to run this app in dev mode or in test mode on an iPad. So there are a couple of challenges which you will come across. So let's talk about first what the actual problem is. Okay, so I'm going to draw it out and then you guys will see, or I guess it will make more sense. So what's happening is here is your desktop computer, correct? And then inside of this, say I'm running my server. So in my case, I'm running Apache, and then here is the browser, correct? All right, so when I try to, let's say, so I'm gonna just label this so we can see properly what this is. So this is my browser, and then by the way, this is say my local host. Right, so everything is running in the local host. So this is my Apache. It could be any server, Apache, Tomcat, doesn't matter. So when I access from the browser my web app, it can talk to the Apache server and everything is fine and we have no problems. But now let's say I need to run this, access this website from my iPad. Okay, so we're gonna come here and I'm gonna say this is the iPad. Okay, let's just say iPad. Okay, so the iPad is going to try to access your, let's say, your Angular app. And then, of course, let's say you have an API here. So it's going to try to make a call to the API and it will basically access that. Now, so there's a couple of problems. Problem number one is this call is going to get blocked by the firewall, right? So let me draw that out for you guys so you guys will see what I mean. So if I come here and I'm gonna color this red and we're gonna make it thick. So basically this is your firewall. Firewall. So firewall is gonna block any connection that's coming to this PC. So it's gonna get stopped here. This API call is gonna get stopped here. So you will never be able to access anything. Basically connections coming in. So I was able to access the web page, by the way. So that's no problem, right? I can just go in, punch in the IP address of this local host, and Angular apps are hosted at 4200. So when I type, let's say the IP address, let me just type that out here. So when I did like this IP address, okay, and then I do, let's say 4200, that's the default port for an Angular app. I was able to access the website or the web app on this one, but I just couldn't log in because any API calls that I was making to this Apache server, they were getting blocked. So when I checked the logs, I found out that basically the problem was that I was getting a CORS issue or a cross-origin resource scripting. I was getting that problem because this was making a call from, I guess, port 4200. This one had its own IP address, so it was getting blocked. So one way, by the way, you can see the console logs on your iPad is you can do something like this. Go to your, let's say, Chrome browser, and on the iPad, and you can do something like Chrome, I think it's inspect. So what it's going to do is it's going to open a new, you do that in a new tab, and then you go back to your, wherever your website is, and when you refresh it, it's going to spit out just like a console log. It's not really that helpful, but it'll just get you somewhere. So anyways, I did that and all I saw was error, and then I'm like, okay, let me go open another laptop and I'm going to do the same thing. So I went ahead and I'm going to zoom this out a bit. So I got another, let's say, laptop, and I want to see if the issue is just with the iPad or the laptop. So I did the same thing, punch in the IP address 4200. I got the website, but I just couldn't get past the login screen because, again, this thing was getting blocked by the firewall. So if I come here, so I was just getting stopped right here. So again, I couldn't get to the Apache server or to my API and any of that. So then I went online, I checked, and people were saying, okay, add the CORS thing in your script in the backend. Some people were saying do the proxy thing. Some were saying do something with the headers. And it was just too much work to change the code and test out different things and waste my time. So after some going through some documentation and looked up on the Apache website, so there's a couple of configuration you need to do to fix that. Now before you do any of that, what you will have to do is you have to go to, we need to first enable this, so we can get past this firewall and access the Apache server. Okay, so what you have to do is on your Windows machine, go to your firewall settings. If you don't know where they are, just click here and then click here, and then you can go to firewall and go to advanced settings. So when you click that, that's going to bring you to this window. So you want to configure the inbound rules, right? So what you want to do is you're going to click on inbound rules, hit new rule, okay, and then so it's going to tell you want to access a program or whatever you want to do. So in this case, I'm going to hit custom, then you're going to go do next. Okay, so if you have a specific program you want to target, you can do that, but I'm just going to do, in this case, all programs. Hit next again. Now in this case, you want to select the TCP protocol, and if you have any local port that you want to target, then you can do that, but in this case I'm just going to do all ports. Then I'm going to hit next. Now here what you want to do is, so the remote is basically, these are my remote machines, so I know I am on the same network like that, right? So we are all part of the local network, but all you have to do is just come here, find the IP address of the, let's say, cell phone or tablet or the other laptop. You're gonna come here, hit add, and add the IP address here. That's what you're gonna do. So once you do that, you're just gonna then hit next, and then you're gonna do allow the connection, and then you're gonna hit next. So you can choose a specific domain, then it's gonna ask you to give it a name, and then you're gonna save it. So I'm not going to save it because I already have a rule, but that will actually allow connections to come in to this firewall. So the other way is, which is very dangerous, I would not suggest you do it, is you can come to firewall and you can actually turn this off, but I would not suggest this at all. So the better way is only allow that specific IP address as I showed you guys. Cool, so I'm going to close this. So let's say we allow that. So we're going to turn this green now. So that means now we can, access the Apache server. This guy can access the Apache server, and we can get past the firewall. Okay, cool. But now what's going to happen is Apache is going to block you and now allow the connection. So what do you do for that? Well, you come here and you need to change two files. One of the file is httpd.config file, and the vhosts or the virtual hosts. Now where do these files reside? If you go to so I'm using a WAMP, by the way. So if you go to your Apache basically configuration, they're under bin Apache, your Apache version config, and so the httpd config is here under the conf folder, and the other one is right here, the vhost right here. Cool. So you have access to this file. Then what you can do is right now it's going to listen on port 80, but any IP address. But if you want to target a specific IP, you can do that, but I'm just going to leave it as is. So don't change this. If it is like this, just leave it. The other thing you want to do is, in this file, it's going to be httpd, let me see. So originally it's going to be like this. I'm going to cut this. It's going to be local. So what that means is it's going to only allow connections. Let's go back to the drawing. It's going to only allow connections from local hosts. So whatever's running on the same computer, it's going to only allow connections from that. So what you have to do is you have to just say all granted. So in this case now, if I come here and I access from this tablet or from this other laptop or this other phone, which are on the same network, then it's going to allow those connections. So saying allow all granted is okay in our case, because in our case we are the firewall is already blocking any other connections coming from outside, and we are only allowing the connections from this iPad. So once you do that, then you should be able to access your website from the iPad or whatever devices you have, and then you can easily reproduce the issue the client is having. So I hope that was helpful, and if you guys have any questions, comments, just let me know. Please like and subscribe, and bye for now.